Today, we're aiming to uncover some truly ancient wisdom. Think of it as a kind of powerful framework for understanding, well, not just ourselves, but maybe our place in the world and how we navigate challenges.
Right. Challenges seem pretty inevitable.
Exactly. So we're taking a deep dive into ancient Pali texts, specifically looking at excerpts from the Anguttara Nikaya, which is this really remarkable collection of the Buddha's teachings.
And what's so striking, is how often the number 5 pops up.
Yeah, it's not just random, is it? It feels like a recurring blueprint for insight.
Definitely seems intentional. A structure for understanding.
So our mission, let's say, for this deep dive is to unpack these fives. We want to discover how these foundational principles, even though they're from centuries ago, can still offer some surprising clarity.
Practical guidance, I think. That's key.
Absolutely. Practical guidance for a well-lived life right now, for you listening. Okay, let's get into it. I think you're going to find some incredibly practical takeaways here. Whether you're looking for, say, inner strength or maybe better relationships or just a new way to face life's ups and downs.
And what's fascinating, I find, is how these lists, which seem simple on the surface, actually give us a really comprehensive guide.
How so?
Well, they show us not just what qualities we should try to cultivate, but maybe more importantly, why they matter.
The consequences.
Exactly. The direct consequences of having them or, not having them in our lives, it's a very clear path to understanding cause and effect.
Okay. Let's begin with what the texts call the learner's strength. These sound like our core capacities for growth, for inner development.
Indeed, yeah, these are absolutely foundational. The texts point out 5 specific strengths. First up is faith.
Faith.
But maybe not in a dogmatic sense. It's more like a deep conviction, in the path to awakening, trusting the wisdom of those who've walked it. Think of it like a compass point. Gives direction.
Guiding you.
Right. Second, there's a sense of shame. Now, this isn't just about feeling guilty.
Right, it's different.
It's more a profound inner discomfort, like a moral compass that just instinctively recoils from doing something harmful, whether that's in your thoughts, your words, or your actions. An internal check.
So it's that feeling deep down where you just know something isn't right, maybe even if nobody else is watching.
Exactly. And right alongside that, complementing it, is fear of wrongdoing, which sounds a bit intense, but it's meant as a healthy dread of the consequences of unwholesome actions.
Understanding that actions have repercussions.
Yes. For yourself, for others, and that healthy fear acts as a kind of deterrent. Then fourth is energy or effort.
Virya.
Yes, virya. It's about persistent exertion, that conscious, focused will to abandon the unskillful stuff and really cultivate the skillful qualities. It's the drive, the push to improve.
Got it.
And finally, number 5 is wisdom, or paññā, which is, well, profound understanding, seeing things as they really are, how they arise and pass away. And that understanding ultimately leads to a lessening of suffering.
Okay, so faith, sense of shame, fear of wrongdoing, energy, and wisdom. What does this collection of qualities really mean for us day to day? The texts seem pretty clear about the impact, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. They really lay out the stakes. The presence of these 5 strengths, the texts say, consistently leads to happiness, peace, a favorable life.
And the flip side.
Conversely, yeah, their absence brings suffering, agitation, and unfavorable destiny. And not just, in some distant future life, but often right here in this very life.
Wow.
It's presented as a direct, almost undeniable correlation, cause and effect.
There's a really memorable analogy in the source text for this, isn't there? Comparing these qualities to a nurse caring for a child. I found that very vivid.
Yes, that one really highlights the protective nature of these qualities. It's a great image.
How does it work?
Well, just like a diligent nurse protects a young child, stops them from putting harmful things in their mouth, these 5 qualities protect an individual. They safeguard you, you could say, until you've developed true wisdom and self-mastery.
So they act as training wheels almost.
In a way.
Yeah.
Once that wisdom is fully developed, the person becomes self-protected, like the grown child who doesn't need constant supervision anymore. It's a journey, really, from needing that external, or rather those quality-based safeguards, to achieving real internal self-sufficiency.
That makes sense. Now, beyond these learner strengths, the sources also talk about another set of 5 crucial powers or forces, and it seems like one of them gets special emphasis.
That's right. This second set includes faith again, energy again, but also mindfulness, the ability to stay present, to recollect past actions and words clearly.
Sati.
Yes, sati. Then concentration, samadhi, achieving those deep meditative states of calm and joy. And finally, wisdom again, paññā,
So wisdom appears in both lists.
It does.
Right.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, wisdom is clearly declared the chief, the most important. It's the encompassing, the consolidating factor among them.
Like the keystone in an arch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or the texts use the analogy of the peak of a gabled house. It brings everything else together, gives it structure, purpose. It's supreme.
And for those of us wondering, how does this actually look in practice? The sources even tell us where these powers are specifically observed, right? They give concrete examples.
They do. They're quite specific. Faith is seen in those initial stages of spiritual progress, like stream entry, that foundational trust.
Okay.
Energy, or virya, manifests in what are called the four right exertions, that effort to prevent and abandon the bad stuff and develop and maintain the good stuff.
The constant cultivation.
Right. Mindfulness, Jesse, is observed in the four foundations of mindfulness: our awareness of the body, feelings, the mind itself, and mental phenomena as they arise and pass.
Being present to experience.
Yes. Concentration, samadhi, is seen in those deep meditative states the jhanas will probably touch on later. And finally, wisdom, paññā, is seen most clearly in understanding the Four Noble Truths, the fundamental truths about suffering, its origin, its cessation, and the path. It shows these aren't just abstract ideas, they're lived realities, things you can actually see and develop.
This is where it gets really interesting for me because the principles seem to shift now. It's not just inner qualities, but how we engage, how we act in the world and with ourselves for, well, profound growth. And first up, the sources really hammer home the importance of respect.
Absolutely. It's a critical starting point in these texts. They're very clear. A lack of respect, a lack of deference, actually prevents progress and spiritual development.
Prevents it. That's strong.
It is. It impacts everything from just basic good conduct all the way to the ability to achieve deep concentration. But on the other hand,
if you do have respect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Reverence and respect are presented as essential conditions for developing proper conduct, for mastering the training, perfecting ethical precepts, achieving a right view or clear understanding, and ultimately for right concentration.
So it's like a chain reaction. One thing enables the next.
Precisely. It's laid out as a very clear sequence.
Yeah.
You need that foundation of respect to build upon.
Okay. And when we talk about inner development, the texts bring up something called the impurities of the mind. Sounds like we need a bit of mental housekeeping.
Indeed, that's a good way to put it. There are 5 key impurities mentioned, and the texts use a great analogy. They liken them to contaminants in gold.
Oh, like things that make the gold less pure.
Exactly. Things that make it impure, unworkable, dull, less brilliant. These 5 are sensory desire, that relentless craving for pleasant sights, sounds, smells, tastes, touches.
Amatando.
Yes. Then ill will, vyapato, which is any form of anger, resentment, aversion, hostility. Third is sloth and torpor, tinamihai. That heavy, dull feeling in the mind and body, lack of energy, inertia.
That foggy feeling.
Right. Fourth is restlessness and remorse, udikakuke. An agitated, worried, uneasy mind, maybe regretting past actions.
Can't settle down.
Exactly. And fifth is doubt, vichikicha. But not the healthy kind of questioning. This is more a wavering indecision, an uncertainty that paralyzes progress on the path.
Okay, so desire, ill will, dullness, restlessness, doubt. What happens when these are present or when they're removed?
Well, the sources state that removing these impurities is like refining the gold. It makes the mind pliant, workable, radiant, bright, and capable of deep concentration, even leading to, well, extraordinary clarity or abilities.
Extraordinary abilities.
The texts mention things sometimes translated as psychic powers, multiplying oneself, walking through walls, divine hearing, mind reading, recalling past lives, the divine eye, and ultimately the ending of all defilements. But the key point is the clarity and potential that's unlocked when these obscurations are removed.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? It raises that question for you, listening. What kind of impurities, maybe subtle ones, might be clouding your mind right now, making things feel less clear or workable?
It's a very practical reflection.
And this leads directly to the impact of moral conduct, Sila, right? The sources seem to draw a very strong line between our actions, our ethics, and our ability to achieve these higher states of mind.
Yes, that connection is absolutely explicit. The texts state that a person lacking moral conduct, someone whose actions are harmful or unethical, simply cannot develop true concentration. Cannot develop right concentration, cannot develop profound knowledge or insight, cannot achieve deep peace or dispassion, and ultimately cannot attain liberation.
Wow.
It's compared to a tree lacking healthy branches and leaves. Such a tree, the analogy goes, can't develop healthy bark or strong wood or sound heartwood. Without that ethical foundation, the higher developments just can't happen. It can't thrive.
But the opposite is also true.
Yes. Conversely, upholding moral conduct, living ethically, enables the development of all these higher qualities. It's like a healthy tree that naturally flourishes, producing strong branches, leaves, bark, wood, and heartwood. The ethical conduct is the necessary ground.
So these aren't just like abstract philosophical ideas. They really build on each other. One enables the next. And the texts even highlight different ways, different paths to achieve mental liberation. It's not just one size fits all.
That's right. They describe 5 different liberation abodes, you could call them. Different ways or opportunities to achieve mental freedom and overcome those defilements or impurities we talked about.
What are they?
Okay, first, genuinely hearing the Dharma, the teachings, from a qualified teacher. Second, actively teaching the Dharma to others, sharing the understanding. Third, diligently reciting the Dharma, keeping the teachings present in the mind.
So hearing, teaching, reciting.
Fourth, deeply contemplating the Dharma, reflecting on it inwardly, figuring it out for yourself. And fifth, having a particular sign or object of concentration well grasped, penetrated by wisdom.
Like in meditation.
Exactly. And the texts say that in each of these cases, engaging in that activity leads to a profound sense of meaning, then joy arises, then rapture, then bodily tranquility, then happiness, and finally, the mind becomes concentrated. It's a path to deep inner stillness.
The discussion around concentration samadhi gets really detailed, doesn't it? It paints these incredibly vivid pictures of the states of mind one can cultivate. It's definitely not just about sitting quietly.
No, it's a very active and profound process of mental cultivation. The texts beautifully describe what's called 5-factored right concentration, often explained through the 4 jhanas, or meditative absorptions, plus a 5th factor, which is reviewing the experience afterwards.
Okay, the jhanas. Let's hear about them.
All right, the first jhana. This arises from seclusion, stepping away from sensory input and those mental impurities. It has initial thought, focusing the mind, and then sustained thought, keeping it there, and it's accompanied by joy and happiness born from that seclusion.
Okay, is there an analogy?
Yes. It's likened to a skilled bath attendant kneading bath powder with water. They sprinkle the water gradually until the whole ball of powder is thoroughly permeated, suffused, saturated with moisture, inside and out.
So the mind becomes completely absorbed and filled with that joy and happiness.
Precisely. Then, the second jhana. Here, that initial and sustained thought fade away. It's free from thinking. What arises is inner tranquility, a unification of mind, born purely of concentration itself, still accompanied by joy and happiness, but a deeper, calmer kind.
And the analogy for that?
This is compared to a deep lake fed by an underground spring. The cool water wells up from within, filling the lake, saturating it completely, with no need for water to come in from the outside. It's self-sufficient joy.
Wow. Okay, third.
The third jhana. Here, even the intense joy fades away. The person dwells in equanimity, a balanced, stable mind. They are mindful and clearly comprehending, and they experience a subtle, pervasive bodily happiness. The texts call it a happiness that the noble ones praise.
And the image for this one?
Like blue, red, or white lotuses, born in the water, growing in the water, never rising above it, but completely permeated and suffused from root to tip with the cool water they live in. A deep, cool bodily ease.
Beautiful. And the fourth?
The fourth jhana. This is beyond both happiness and suffering. Earlier pleasant and unpleasant feelings have ceased. It's a state of pure, refined equanimity and mindfulness, completely purified, utter stillness and clarity.
And the analogy?
Like a person sitting wrapped head to toe in a clean white cloth. Their entire body is permeated by that pure white cloth. Nothing uncovered, just pure, bright, clear awareness. These are profound states of mental unification and clarity.
And mastering these can lead to those extraordinary abilities you mentioned earlier.
That's what the texts suggest, yes. That level of concentration is seen as a basis for deeper insights and refined states of consciousness.
Okay, before we move on from this inner cultivation, there's a fascinating little anecdote in the sources. It's about a conversation the Buddha had where he basically rejected something that, let's be honest, many of us actively seek. Fame, reputation, worldly gain.
Yes, that's a striking passage. The source mentions the Buddha stating quite bluntly that he has no liking for fame or worldly gain. He even compares it rather strongly to excrement.
Wow, that's direct.
It is. It's meant to emphasize its ultimate triviality compared to the real goal. He highlights the superior happiness found in seclusion, in solitude, in the peace of awakening. The implication is clear. Chasing external validation, reputation, gain is actually an obstacle. It's fleeting and binds you, whereas inner peace is liberating.
It really makes you reflect, doesn't it? What comforts, what forms of external validation, maybe even subtle ones, do you listening perhaps unknowingly prioritize over genuine inner peace or tranquility? It's a challenging question.
A very challenging question.
And just quickly, for those who appreciate a very down-to-earth, practical approach to well-being, the sources even list the benefits of simple walking meditation.
Yes, it's surprisingly specific and practical. The 5 benefits listed for walking meditation are: it makes you fit for long journeys, it makes you fit for exertion, you tend to be free from disease, food gets digested properly.
Good digestion, always a plus.
Right, and concentration gained while walking tends to last a long time. It shows how even simple physical practices were integrated and seen as valuable for overall well-being, mental and physical.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit now, moving more towards our external actions and interactions. The sources provide so many interesting insights into the power of giving, of generosity, dana.
Yes, this is a very strong recurring theme throughout these texts. They frequently highlight the 5 benefits of giving. There's one sutta, the Sumana Sutta, that gives a great example.
Tell us about it.
It compares 2 individuals. They both have equal faith, equal morality, equal wisdom. But one is a regular giver and the other is a non-giver.
Okay, equal in other ways, but different in generosity.
Exactly.
Right.
And the text says the giver excels, surpasses the non-giver in 5 specific ways. In the divine realms, if they're reborn there, the giver has greater divine longevity, beauty, happiness, renown, and authority.
And in the human realm?
Same 5 things, but the human versions. Greater human longevity, beauty, happiness, renown, and authority. And even if they become a monastic, the text says, the one who is a giver tends to receive robes, alms, food, lodging, medicine more easily when needed. And their fellow monastics treat them more agreeably, offer them more agreeable gifts. There are tangible results.
But, and this seems crucial, there's a really important caveat mentioned, isn't there? Something quite profound about the ultimate goal, liberation, that maybe turns our usual ideas about good karma on their head a bit.
This is the truly radical insight, yes. The text explicitly states, once both individuals, the giver and the non-giver, attain liberation, attain arahantship.
The final goal.
Yes. At that point, there is no difference whatsoever between the giver and the non-giver in terms of their liberation itself.
Wow, so the benefits of giving apply up to liberation, but not at liberation.
Exactly. It highlights that while giving brings immense worldly and spiritual benefits along the path, better rebirths, better conditions, more harmony, ultimate liberation transcends those transactional benefits. It's a state of being beyond cause and effect in that same way. It reorients you from just accumulating external merit points, to fundamentally transforming your state of being.
That's a huge point. Now, another text, the Sutta, lists similar direct benefits of giving, maybe more immediate ones.
Yes, it focuses on the here and now benefits. It states that a giver, someone known for generosity, is loved and liked by many people. Good and virtuous people naturally associate with them. A good reputation spreads far and wide, and they can enter any assembly, any gathering, confidently, without embarrassment or fear.
These are very tangible social benefits.
Absolutely. Immediate, observable results. And, crucially, it also adds that after death, such a person is reborn in a heavenly world. Now, the text mentions General Sia, who heard this teaching. He said, yes, I see those first 4 benefits in my own life. People like me. Good people gather round. My reputation is good. I feel confident. He affirmed the immediate benefits from experience.
But the future rebirth?
That part, he accepted on faith in the Buddha's words.
The texts also get specific about when to give, suggesting a kind of mindful approach to generosity, not just random acts.
That's right. There's a section on timely giving, Kaladana. It lists 5 occasions when giving is considered particularly appropriate or impactful.
What are they?
Giving to a guest who arrives. Giving to someone setting out on a journey. Giving to a sick person. Giving during a famine or time of shortage. And offering the first fruits of the harvest or new things to virtuous ones first.
So it's about meeting needs, acknowledging transitions, sharing abundance. Very thoughtful.
Yes, giving when it's truly needed and most beneficial.
And what about the simple act of giving food? Does that have specific benefits mentioned?
It does. The texts say that giving food provides 5 things to the person who receives it. It supports their long life, their beauty or health, their happiness, their strength, and their intelligence or clarity of mind.
Okay, benefits for the recipient.
But here's the interesting part. By giving these 5 things, the donor also partakes in these qualities themselves, whether in this life or future lives, divine, or human.
Ah, so it's a reciprocal thing. Giving strength gives you strength.
Exactly. It's presented as a truly wholesome exchange, benefiting both giver and receiver in these fundamental ways.
Now, beyond giving, faith sutta also stands out again as a really powerful quality with its own set of benefits. It makes me think of that comparison in the source, the faithful person being like a great banyan tree.
It's a wonderful, evocative analogy. The text describes 5 specific benefits for a faithful lay follower. First, good and virtuous people, like monks and nuns, when they see needs in the community, they feel compassion for the faithful person first. They tend to approach the faithful person first,
Why is that?
presumably because they trust the faithful person's goodwill and willingness to help. Third, they accept gifts from a faithful person first, maybe seeing it as well given. Fourth, they teach the Dharma, the teachings, to a faithful person first, knowing it will be well received and valued.
So they get preferential access in a way to support and teachings.
You could see it that way.
Mhm.
And fifth, ultimately, a faithful person is reborn in a happy heavenly realm after death. And yes, that analogy of the banyan tree at a crossroads is used.
How does that work?
Just as a great banyan provides shelter and sustenance, shade, rest, maybe food for many beings, like birds, travelers, animals.
Monks, nuns, lay followers.
Exactly. Monks, nuns, male and female lay followers all benefit from the presence of that faithful person. They find support, refuge, inspiration. The faithful person becomes a resource for the whole community, just like the tree.
It's really not just about individual qualities then. The sources even touch on very human, very relatable aspects like, well, why parents want to have children in the first place.
Yes, it gets very practical and grounded in social reality. The texts list 5 specific reasons parents traditionally wished for a child. It gives a clear view of familial expectations back then.
What were the reasons?
Okay, first, they hoped, having been supported by us, they will support us in return.
Looking after them in old age.
Right. Second, they will perform duties for us, taking on family responsibilities.
Hmm.
Third, the family lineage will be maintained, keeping the family name and traditions going. Fourth, the child will inherit their legacy, passing on property and status. And fifth, when we have passed away, they will offer alms on our behalf to our departed ancestors, maintaining connection with those who've gone. It's a very clear, practical view of the role of children in that society.
And staying with family, there's also some interesting, maybe culturally specific advice given to young women about to marry. It outlines 5 qualities of what was considered a good wife at the time.
Yes, this is advice reportedly given by the Buddha himself to the daughters of a householder named Ugaha. It highlights 5 qualities focused on harmony, diligence, and respect within the household.
Okay, what are they? For historical context, of course.
Right. First, rising before her husband and retiring after him, being ready to serve his needs, acting agreeably, and speaking pleasantly. Second, respecting her husband's elders, his parents, and also respecting any spiritual guides or respected figures he honors.
So respectfulness.
Yes. Third, being diligent and skillful in household duties, like managing weaving materials, wool, or cotton, being efficient. Fourth, knowing the work and health of the household servants or employees, supervising them fairly, and sharing food appropriately with them.
Managing the household staff.
And fifth, safeguarding her husband's wealth, any income, grain, silver, gold, protecting it well, not being wasteful or a spendthrift. The text says a woman who embodies these 5 qualities is likely to be reborn among desirable deities.
So these qualities, whether it's the wives or the householders in general, they don't just benefit the individual person, do they? They seem to strengthen the whole family unit, the whole household.
Precisely. There's another analogy used. Just as a great salad tree thrives near a mountain, drawing strength and stability, similarly, a faithful householder, established in virtue, allows their entire household to flourish.
The whole household.
Yes, their children, their spouse, relatives, friends, even servants or employees, they all tend to grow and flourish alongside the virtuous householder in 5 key areas. They grow in faith, in morality, in learning, in generosity, and in wisdom.
So one person's virtue lifts everyone around them.
Exactly. It shows how personal qualities aren't isolated. They radiate outwards, creating a supportive, harmonious, and thriving environment for everyone connected to that person. It's quite a powerful idea about interconnectedness.
Okay, now let's move into what feels like perhaps the most profound part of this deep dive, confronting the hard, undeniable truths of life. The sources lay out 5 things that are universally, absolutely unobtainable. This really challenges our deepest wishes and attachments, doesn't it?
It truly does. And it forces us to ask that fundamental question. How do we respond? How do we live with the basic realities of existence? The texts state very, very clearly that there are 5 things unobtainable by anyone in the world. Doesn't matter if you're an ascetic, a priest, a deity, a demon, a god, anyone.
Okay, what are these 5 unavoidable things?
First, may I not age, even though one is subject to aging. It's unobtainable. Second, may I not fall ill, even though one is subject to illness. Unobtainable. Third, may I not die, even though one is subject to death. Unobtainable.
Aging, illness, death. The
Yeah.
classic 3.
Yes. Fourth, may I not decay, or may things not decay, even though all conditioned things are subject to decay and change. Unobtainable. And fifth, may I not be destroyed, or may things not be lost or destroyed, even though all conditioned things are subject to destruction. Unobtainable.
So aging, illness, death, decay, destruction, you just can't wish them away.
No, they are presented as universal, immutable facts of existence for all conditioned beings and things.
And the texts then vividly describe 2 profoundly different ways people react when these unavoidable things actually happen, don't they? They contrast the uninstructed person with the instructed person. It's a stark difference that offers a huge insight into how we can approach suffering.
Indeed, the contrast is stark and very instructive. So, the uninstructed person, someone who hasn't learned or deeply reflected on these truths, when they themselves experience aging or sickness or death, or when they lose loved ones or possessions, when things decay or are destroyed, what do?
They fall apart.
Pretty much. They lament, they grieve, they weep aloud, they beat their breasts, they become distraught and fall into confusion. And the text points out that this reaction itself causes them further suffering.
Compounding the pain.
Yes, it spoils their appearance, hinders their work, makes their enemies rejoice, and causes their friends to be sad. They're described as being pierced, deeply pierced, by the poisoned arrow of sorrow. Their inability to accept reality leads to this amplified, consuming pain.
So the suffering isn't just from the event itself, the loss, the sickness, but significantly from their reaction to it, their resistance.
Exactly. That's the crucial point. Now, contrast that with the instructed person, someone who has learned, understood, and deeply reflected on these 5 unavoidable truths. When these same inevitable events occur in their life,
What do?
they reflect, they think. It's not just happening to me. This is a universal truth. Aging, sickness, death, loss, and this happens to everyone. It's the nature of things. And because they reflect this way,
They don't fall apart.
they do not lament, grieve, weep, beat their breast, or fall into confusion in the same way. The text says they pull out the poisoned arrow of sorrow. Having removed that arrow of resistance and despair, they become sorrowless and find peace, attain a kind of coolness or nirvana even amidst the difficulties.
So the wisdom doesn't eliminate the pain of loss entirely, maybe, but it transforms the suffering around it. It allows acceptance.
Precisely. It allows you to experience the inevitable pains of life without being utterly consumed and destroyed by them. It's about accepting what cannot be changed and finding peace within that acceptance, rather than fighting reality.
And this powerful lesson is driven home with some specific examples in the text, isn't it? Like stories involving kings who were facing profound loss. It really brings these abstract concepts down to earth.
Yes, the sources give examples. One mentions King Pasenadi of Kosala, who was apparently deeply distressed, inconsolable, after the death of his beloved Queen Malika. And another story involves King Muncha. He was similarly overcome with grief after the death of his favorite queen, Pado. He was so distraught, the text says, he stopped bathing, stopped eating properly, neglected all his royal duties. He just couldn't function.
Wow. And didn't he do something extreme with her body?
Yes, he even went so far as to have her body preserved in a vat of oil, apparently just staring at it, completely unable to let go of his attachment and grief.
That's intense grief. So in both cases, these powerful kings were reminded of these 5 unobtainable truths.
Exactly. Advisors or wise figures, in King Muncha's case, the Buddha himself, indirectly through a discourse, reminded them, look, even for a king, aging, sickness, death, decay, destruction are unavoidable. You cannot wish them away, not even for your most beloved queen.
So what happened, specifically with King Musha, after he heard this teaching? It sounds like it must have been a real turning point, a moment of profound, maybe painful, acceptance.
It absolutely was. The text says that immediately after hearing this discourse on the 5 unobtainable things, King Musha turned to his attendant and gave instructions.
What did he say?
He said, basically, okay, prepare Queen Bada's body for cremation. Build a stupa, a monument for her. And then, significantly, he resumed bathing, he started eating again, and he went back to attending to his royal duties.
He pulled out the arrow.
Exactly. The teaching helped him remove that poisoned arrow of sorrow. It didn't erase his love or sadness, presumably, but it broke the grip of paralyzing grief. It allowed him to accept the reality of her death, to function again, and ultimately to find a measure of peace. It's a powerful demonstration of the direct, practical impact of understanding and internalizing these fundamental truths. It allowed him to move from being stuck in grief to taking purposeful action.
That's incredibly powerful. And finally, just as there are wise ways to deal with loss, the texts also suggest there are wise ways to manage material wealth. It's not just about earning it, but how you use it that matters, right?
Absolutely. Having gained wealth honestly and diligently, the text describe 5 proper skillful uses for it. It emphasizes that wealth isn't inherently bad, but its value lies in how it's applied for benefit.
Okay, what are these 5 wise uses?
First, use it to make yourself happy and content, and also your parents, your children, your spouse, and any servants or employees you have. Basic well-being for yourself and your dependents.
Taking care of home base.
Right. Second, use it to make your friends and associates happy and content, sharing the benefits with your wider circle. Third, use wealth to protect yourself from various dangers. The text mentioned things like losses due to fire, floods, kings, taxes or confiscation, thieves, or even unloved heirs who might squander it. So, security.
Ethical protection.
Fourth, use wealth to make 5 kinds of offerings, which are seen as duties.
Yeah.
Offerings to relatives, to guests, hospitality to departed ancestors, memorial rites, to the king, taxes, civic duty, and to deities, religious observances, fulfilling social and religious obligations.
Okay, 4 very practical worldly uses. What's the 5th?
The 5th is considered the supreme use, establishing offerings, support given to spiritual practitioners, monks, nuns, renunciants, specifically those who are dedicated to the path, free from intoxication and negligence, firm in patience and humility, who are working to calm themselves and attain liberation and help others do the same.
Supporting the spiritual path.
Yes, giving to those dedicated to the highest goal is seen as the most meritorious use of wealth, leading towards a heavenly rebirth and supporting the path to liberation for all.
And what's the ultimate point of using wealth in these 5 ways?
The really important takeaway message is this. If a person has used their honestly gained wealth in these 5 ways, then later, whether their wealth increases or decreases, it doesn't matter in a fundamental sense. They can reflect, my wealth has been put to good use. It has served its purpose. There's no regret, only satisfaction and the knowledge that they've acted skillfully and beneficially.
So it brings peace of mind, regardless of market fluctuations, you might say.
Exactly, a sense of having lived well and used resources wisely.
So reflecting back, we've taken quite a deep dive into these fascinating 5s from the Anguttara Nikaya. We've looked at the inner strengths we need to cultivate, like faith and wisdom.
Right, the learner's strengths and the 5 powers.
To how we interact with others through things like respect and generosity, and even how we face the really big, inevitable challenges of life, aging, sickness, loss. It feels like a remarkably cohesive and practical system of wisdom.
It really is.
Yeah.
What's striking to me is the consistency across all these different areas of life. Whether it's about our internal state, our external actions, or confronting these universal truths, these ancient texts offer a very structured yet deeply practical path.
Yeah, they're not just telling us what to believe.
No, not at all. They encourage critical thinking, self-reflection about our own responses to life, and they provide really tangible tools, qualities to develop, actions to take, perspectives to cultivate, to build resilience and find peace. It feels much more like a training manual than just abstract philosophy.
So for you, the listener, maybe the ultimate takeaway here isn't just remembering the list of 5 things. It's more about the profound shift in perspective they offer.
Yes, understanding the underlying principles.
Exactly. So here's the final thought to maybe mull over. How can understanding these timeless 5s, these consistent patterns of cause and effect that were observed centuries ago, how might that understanding transform your response to the inevitable challenges, big and small, in your own life? And maybe what might that look like for you even just this week?